50 Cent's new Netflix documentary on Diddy exploded instantly, loaded with shocking revelations, unseen footage, and candid interviews from insiders who once operated at the core of Diddy's world, exposing his rise and collapse.
In this documentary that they believe that Diddy was very jealous of Tupac. And they pretty much go through everything from the quad incident and Tupac believing that Puffy was behind it, like he said in the Vibe interview.
You think Puffy was involved in the shooting?
Only they can answer that question. I have my own opinion, but I wouldn't slander their name like they did mine. I wouldn't say things that I knew, you know what I mean? I believe so. I do believe so. I have proved things that I can say that will back up my claim, but this is not for the world to know about. You know what I mean? It's between me and him, and only he knows. So every time he say it didn't happen, or that's the only thing that makes this become an issue to everybody. Because you seen what I said in the Vibe article. I basically bowed out and was going to go ahead about my life. The next issue, that wasn't even the next issue, because them cowards waited about 4 issues before they got their story together. 4 issues later, half of New Yorkers commenting on me getting shot. And before, they was all like, we didn't see nothing. In the first issue, read it, Vibe viewers. Nobody seen shit. The 4th issue, when they came back with a reply, everybody knew what I did. They knew what I said. I was acting. Who gets shot 5 times in acts? Oh, I didn't get shot 5 times in their vision. I only got shot once because they found the bullet. The police found it, but now they the cops. Now they doing detective work. They found the bullet. Oh, you found the bullet, huh? So what is this other shit in me then? What was the doctors talking about? What? Can you explain these other holes in me? How'd I get gunpowder all over me? That insulted my intelligence. So yes, I did say Thug Life was there. Yes, I bowed out, all of that. But when they said that, they breathed new life.
In the second episode of Sean Combs, The Reckoning, former Bad Boy Records employees and artists reveal a starkly different account of the events surrounding Biggie Smalls and Tupac's deaths, alleging Diddy played a far deeper role than anyone realized. Testimonies from Mark Curry, Craig Mack's ex-wife Roxanne Johnson, and Bad Boy co-founder Kirk Burroughs depict Diddy exploiting artists while intensifying the East-West rivalry that shaped hip-hop throughout the 90s, exposing a darker side of his empire.
You're even hearing from Greg Kading, the detective that worked on Tupac and Biggie's case in this documentary. He is the investigator that did that proffer agreement with Keefe D way back in 2008, where Keefe D alleged that Diddy tried to offer him $1 million to take out Tupac and Suge Knight. And Tupac's trial with Keefe D is coming up very soon in early 2026. And we know that Diddy's name has been dropped at least 200 times during these proceedings already.
And that's only a fraction of it. The documentary keeps revealing one secret after another, making it one of the most revealing projects ever released about Diddy. He's now in a New Jersey prison serving a 4-year sentence after being convicted earlier this year on 2 charges tied to transporting individuals for illegal activity, though a jury cleared him of racketeering and trafficking. The scrutiny hasn't slowed since late 2023, when ex-partner Cassandra Ventura filed a major abuse lawsuit, followed by dozens more civil claims, all of which Diddy strongly denies.
Suge and Puff created the atmosphere for both of those guys to lose their lives.
I honestly, when I look back on it, if he trusted Sean more, it would have been better. But he didn't trust him as much as the way Sean says they were best friends after he was dead. Nah, I didn't see that during the time we were working with him.
This documentary stands out because it introduces new allegations while reigniting old ones, revealing a wider pattern of scrutiny. The producer secured private footage of Diddy inside a New York hotel room only 6 days before his arrest, recorded by a videographer he hired to capture everything. The video shows Diddy discussing with his lawyer how the media was destroying his image at the time.
Homes have now sent a cease and desist letter to Netflix.
That's right. They are demanding it not release a docuseries featuring the embattled mogul.
It's unusual to hear someone speak so openly before an indictment. Conversations like that are normally protected. But by having a videographer present, lawyers argue Diddy may have unintentionally waived attorney-client privilege. His team later told NBC News the footage was never authorized, and they have no idea how Netflix obtained it, insisting the videographer was bound by agreements meant to keep every recording confidential.
We have to find somebody that'll work with us that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business. We're losing.
The series also pulls in voices from Diddy's past, including people who worked with him, performed with him, or stayed close to him, with Aubrey O'Day from Making a Band detailing her own experience with his behavior.
Why it's coming out now is we wanted to wait, to get through all of the legal proceedings, the criminal trial, and it spans, it's four parts, and it spans over 30 years of pop culture, his life. So it took some time, to say the least, to put all of this together.
It's an important story, and you could just tell it with all the public material. Mm-hmm. You go further, you've gotten your hands on some extra new material people are going to see for the first time, including this video. Any journalist would want to know how you got it, but it is Sean Diddy Combs in the heat of this, right before the arrest for the trial we just discussed, in private moments, talking to his lawyer, cameras running.
He also underestimated that some of, with every celebrity, you do have different claims and some are completely unfounded. But I think that some of these lawsuits, there's receipts. Mm-hmm. And there's footage and there's voice recordings. And I think that for a man, it's also very interesting, for the culture of hip hop, so many artists record themselves, and they probably, when they were, recording themselves in 2005, never saw the year 2025 and how accessible that media would be to actually make a case for things. And I think that's a big part of the gumbo of Sean Combs and what he's.
Singer Al-B, sure, who once dated Kim Porter, describes what he witnessed, while former bodyguard Roger Bonds says he saw Diddy act violently toward Cassie. Bonds recalls initially liking Diddy only because he didn't yet know him. Kirk Burrows, co-founder of Bad Boy Records, also speaks out. After working beside Diddy for years and owning 25% of the company, he says Diddy allegedly threatened him with a baseball bat and forced him to sign away his share. Burrows claims the ordeal ruined his life, leaving him blacklisted and eventually homeless as Bad Boy became a powerhouse.
I'm waiting the whole time for Aubrey O'Day to reveal some major story that happened between her and Diddy. 3 episodes in, she's basically just talking about Diddy in a very general way. It isn't until the 4th episode that Aubrey reveals a witness walked in on Aubrey O'Day completely inebriated with Diddy doing things to her, as well as a second man who they refer to as a light-skinned, tall man. Details are very explicit and not anything I could share on here. This witness revealed that it was 100% Aubrey O'Day. It was really uncertain in watching Aubrey's reaction and kind of resharing this story whether or not she fully recollected the situation. He says it couldn't have been her choice to become inebriated because that was never her issue. She never really drank a whole ton. The earlier parts of this series, Aubrey does reveal these emails, these series of emails that she got from Diddy. They were all in very sexual nature, in a very sexual tone. He's basically asking her to come over and do certain things with him. It's these very domineering emails where he's basically setting the tone that he's the boss. She says that she felt very uncomfortable about those emails, and 6 months later, she was fired from Danity Kane.
Burrows later filed a lawsuit, but it was dismissed due to statute of limitations, though he continues to pursue other legal battles. The second episode delves deeply into infamous Bad Boy versus Death Row rivalry, the East Coast versus West Coast tension that reshaped hip-hop. Death Row boasted legends like Dr. Dre and Tupac, while Bad Boy had Big E, Faith Evans, 112, and Maze. Interviewees revealed a surprising truth. The artists weren't instigating the conflict. Instead, executives, particularly Combs, fueled the tension until it erupted, supporting long-standing claims from Gene Deal that Diddy played a central role in stoking the war.
We were renegotiating Bad Boy. We had gotten over CCNY. It looked like the coast was clear. We were renegotiating with Arista. We were about to get a step up in the money. I had 25% of the company. I didn't know why he needed to get that back from me and then give it back to me again. I didn't understand that. That's like a trick, like, okay, here, I gave it to you, now give it back, and don't worry, I'm gonna give it right back to you. I didn't want to give it up. So he came into my office one day unexpected, him and Kenny Marsalis, they had it planned out. Kenny had the briefcase with all the stock certificates in it, and Diddy had the bat. Not like I'm gonna beat the shit out of you with the bat, but he had the bat like, man, we got to do this. This has to happen. I didn't feel I was gonna get beat down in that office, in all honesty. I got people that can jump out of the shadows in a minute. I wasn't threatened by him. What I was messed up over was the fact that I started this company with you from day zero, and now the one solid thing that you told me I had, you want to take that back and do a return to me on that at this critical time that we're renegotiating and getting a step up on the contract. When he told me it was about all of that renegotiating and that I should trust, I did, begrudgingly, angry, upset. It wasn't right. I did it. He got the stock back. I went on, tried to get over that, kept doing my job, doing what I had to do, delivering everything. And once again, I was caught up in the job. I forgot all about it. And next thing you know, we had the snafu. I was fired. And he just said, oh, okay, bye. And since he had never given me the stock back, he never said that he would pay me anything or give me anything. He just avoided me all these years. Not only did he avoid me all these years, running high and low, I went on and started working with Mary, who the three of us started out together.
The documentary suggests that the label feud quickly escalated beyond music, turning into a full-scale gang war. The Crips were reportedly aligned with Bad Boy and Biggie, while the Bloods backed Suge Knight and Death Row. At the center of this turmoil, the series claims, was Diddy, who was allegedly connected to drug lord Dwayne Could Davis through Eric Von Zip. Davis is now awaiting trial in the Tupac Shakur case, while Von Zip, whom Diddy once referred to as his uncle, was a significant figure in New York's gang scene. Recordings shown in the documentary, accompanied by commentary from former LAPD Detective Greg Kading, featured Davis describing how he and his nephew Orlando Anderson carried out the 1996 Las Vegas shooting of Shakur. Although Netflix footage cannot be shown, Keith Diaz's own past interviews reveal him discussing Tupac's death in his own words.
I didn't know a lot of other shit was going on with Death Row, with Pac's money, Pac wanting to leave, and it could be some other shit that was going on. But they still created an atmosphere for that. You understand that East Coast, West Coast bullshit. When Suge was trying to use the New York guys to, okay, man, come on, let's make some sense of this shit. And have a meeting and sit down with the New York guys and ask for a representative for Puff to come on. Puff was mad. You see now why Puff was mad. Everybody know now why Puff was mad. That he didn't want nobody to come to the meeting because Suge was playing Pay Daddy. Suge was in there playing Play Daddy with Justin. It's crazy. I said, well, how you gonna be mad at Misa and the East Coast, West Coast? And now we see why he was mad. We don't know if Suge sent Puff those pictures years ago. We don't know that. But that's why Puff didn't send a representative when Zipman was asking him, man, let me represent, just let me know. Nah, man, F that. They trying to get a black distribution company, a publishing company, all that, for hip hop artists and music. Puff and Jay-Z ain't gonna have shit to do with it. And look who get rewarded behind that. So, to answer your question, I think the atmosphere that they designed and made up led to what we know was the East Coast, West Coast war. And both of them had some responsibility in that.
Davis also alleged that Diddy had promised to pay him and other gang members to target Shakur and Suge Knight. who was in the same car during the shooting. According to Davis, the payment never materialized, partly because Knight survived, and partly because the money was reportedly lost with Bonzip, who has since died.
There's blasting. You say Suge looks over, he sees you.
Yeah.
He looks right at you.
Yeah, he looks at me.
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then Tupac's busy getting shot. Evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out
in
of
the back seat or something.
Yeah. What do you see happening inside of their car?
I seen a bullet going Suge's head. I thought he was dead.
So Orlando across Dre?
He leaned over on the window. We rolled down the window, popped.
Who was it?
They would drove on my side. I would popped them. You know what I'm saying? But they was on the other side.
Right.
I'm not gonna go into details on that one. Keep the streets on me. I ain't gonna go into detail on that.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and read from the book.
Well,
so
let them buy the book then.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna read this passage. The shit was on. Tupac made an erratic move and began to reach down beneath his seat. It was the first and only time in my life that I could relate to the police command. Keep your hands where I could see them. Instead, Pac pulled out a strap, and that's when the fireworks started. One of my guys from the back seat grabbed the Glock and started busting back. The first skinned Suge in the head, and I thought that motherfucker was dead. I had heard some stories, supposedly that Suge used Tupac as a shield when the bullets started flying, but that's some bullshit. Suge was already wounded, and he was the one that got touched. As the rounds continued flying, I ducked down so I wouldn't get hit.
Basically, yeah.
White Cadillac, arm came out the back seat and started letting off.
What went through your head when you saw that?
They my name.
Burroughs claimed Diddy pressured Biggie, Christopher Wallace, to fly to Los Angeles to promote his album, despite Biggie's reluctance. That trip ended tragically when Biggie was killed in 1997. Burroughs said he felt he had guided Biggie toward his death and accused Diddy of lying by claiming the trip was Biggie's idea, not his.
In Keepy D's 2008 proffer agreement, he alleged that Diddy's friend Zip Martin is the one that gave him the weapon that was used to take out Tupac. Keepy D told the investigator Greg Kading that Zip Martin had a special compartment to keep this weapon in his car that he drove to Las Vegas. And in this documentary, we have Greg Kading confirming that Zip Martin did drive the same type of vehicle that Keepy D alleged to Las Vegas this night. And then during this documentary, we heard from the former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burroughs, who alleged during this time, Diddy had him hiring a whole bunch of people and getting cars to drive to Las Vegas. And he is now very curious into why Diddy wanted to do this. And he said, in his opinion, he now believes that Diddy was behind taking out
Kirk Burroughs has also previously exposed that Diddy and Biggie's relationship was far from what Diddy portrayed. They weren't true friends, and Diddy clearly had no interest in keeping Biggie alive.
You know, there was the rumor that after Pac got Puffy gave Zip $1 million that was supposed to be handed over, and Zip ended up keeping it. And I remember when I interviewed TK Kirkland, who was actually roommates with Zip at one point. They were that close. He actually said, yeah.
The Fed said that too.
He said that actually happened. Well, the story that has circulated was that after Tupac got, Puffy allegedly gave the money.
I heard
to Zip.
Yes.
And Zip was supposed to give the money to Keefe and them.
Yes.
But he never gave the money to him.
But thank God he never gave him the money, right? Think about it. If he gave the money, Puffy will be in prison now, money for hire, So thank God. It's just a true story. I'm not saying yes or no. But if he would have gave them the money, it'd have been for hire and Puffy would be locked up.
FBI said he's a dirty mother.
Kirk then further explained that Diddy intentionally cut the budget for Biggie's security, leaving him vulnerable and completely undefended.
Kirk Burrows even speaking on the situation with Biggie, how he was the one in charge of planning this London media trip for Biggie that he was supposed to be on the night that he was actually unalived. Kirk Burrows claims Diddy is the one that canceled this trip and Biggie did not want to go out to Los Angeles. And Kirk Burrows feels like Diddy should be responsible for what happened to Biggie. What Kirk Burrows alleged next is what's really chilling. He said something that we have heard alleged many times, and he said that Biggie was actually leaving Bad Boy Records shortly before he passed away. Kirk Burrows alleged that Biggie already signed the paperwork to get out from underneath Bad Boy. Then Kirk Burrows went on to allege that after Biggie passed away, Diddy came to him and told him to change the terms in the contract that Biggie signed. And he claimed that he was so calculated that he told Kirk Burrows to just switch out the middle pages. That way on the last page, Biggie's signature would still be there. That way Diddy could allegedly keep racking up money from...
In fact, Biggie's own mother believes Diddy played a role in her son's death, as she expressed in her interview.
Deal was it, man, for Biggie to go to LA so soon, knowing that Tupac got killed 6 months earlier?
The award show season was up. We had to go out there to participate in that. We had records that were nominated. We were a budding, launching company that already launched and we were successful. We could not go, but Biggie did have an inconvenience. He had a car accident. I think it was in Brooklyn, maybe downtown Brooklyn. He had a broken femur at that time, and he was recovering from that. Big size person, could not really sit comfortably in a plane, not even first class, with a cast on. It was uncomfortable. He was talked into going to the LA portion of the trip so that he could be out there ahead of time. He was out in LA so there wouldn't be a big rush and bustle to get him there. So I think he was out there for a good week and a half ahead of time leading into the event. So being out there, we came to follow up and to have that night. And then he was supposed to, as per Aristoc's marketing department, Arista, one of the best labels and distribution companies that you can have to back you, the legendary Clive Davis, who's backed so many artists, believed in Bad Boy so much, he put together a marketing campaign that was never seen before that campaign and still wasn't seen, but it was put together so that Biggie could receive an international press junket in London with all press from around the world meeting him that Saturday, Sunday after the Friday award show night. He was supposed to go on an international flight with me. We have the itinerary still to this day. He was supposed to leave that early morning, go to London, and we would be out there for 2 or 3 days, and then he would go back to New York and go home. Diddy called Sean P. Diddy, whatever his name was during that time, called late Friday night, early Saturday morning, saying he's not going to London. Call Arista, cancel it. You go, you represent it, you go. He's not going. He wants to stay here in LA.
Diddy has denied all these allegations. And perhaps that is his only strategy, because if one case erupts, his entire carefully built facade could come crashing down.
You have a budget for everything that you do. The budget for Big in LA for the award show ended that Friday night, Saturday morning, when a new budget started to get him from LA to London, where he would be taken care of with security, his friends, and everyone that he wanted to be with him in the style that he was accustomed to handle the press junket. When that didn't happen, that budget was never opened. The budget for LA ended, and there was a great need for security that Saturday night, and he was out without that security. The beef up. And we lost him. And in that decision, what it put us in, that decision put us in the worst situation that we could have ever been in. We lost our number one talent. We're on a West Coast where we're surrounded by enemies who told us not to be here. We really shouldn't have been there, but we were. Now we have to get out of there. At that time, I brought most of the company with me. I had a lot of interns, young people. I had to account for them with their parents. We had to get them home. That weekend, I think we had to get Sean out first. 1, 2, 3 steps in the trunk of a car, moving out the city limits to another airport on that flight out. I stayed until Sunday-ish or so, making sure all the interns, all the executives, every last one of the kids that was out there with us was back east. And then we had to make preparations for Big's family to know where he was at, for them to make preparations to bring him back home a week or so later. So that was the job, and then I slowly crept up out of it.
Do you think new legal action could be taken against Diddy because of this documentary? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below.
Hello, Ms. Wallace. Hey, Ms. Wallace, Gene Deal.
Oh, hi, Gene. How are you?
All right, man. You know I ain't seen you since I came to your house and had that conversation with you. How you been? You all right?
I've been okay. I've been watching you on Facebook.
I'm sorry, Ms. Wallace. I'm sorry I had to do what I had to do, but you know, it is what it is.
I know you do.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Like I told people, I said if Ms. Wallace would have called me and told me to shut it down, I would have shut it down. Ms. Wallace ain't called. She knew how to get in touch with me. If Ms. Wallace didn't tell me to shut it down, I'm going to keep doing it because I respect you, Ms. Wallace.
Do what you do.
First thing I said was, Ms. Wallace, if you tell me to stop, leave Puff, stop, no, I didn't say leave Puff. If you tell me to stop doing what I'm doing, I will. She said, no, G, I watch you. You keep doing it. You doing a good job. You, man, listen here. Yo, I was happier than one of them boys at a Diddy party. I was so happy, man, it was crazy. Because this was the first time I had talked to Miss Wallace since the last time I talked to her and was telling her about Big's death. And she said, I didn't want to hear no more.